He deserves every penny. He's only 24 years of age. He's an absolute stud and a star in this league, widely recognized as the best in the game, if certainly not one of the top 2 or 3.
The Minnesota Vikings were a team that struggled all of last season at the QB position, and with injuries to key guys and losing Kirk Cousins in the offseason, it was clear what the Vikings needed to do in the draft. And really, they were in a perfect position to get who they wanted. And with the 10th pick in the draft, they selected JJ Mccarthy out of Michigan. Like pretty much everyone in the media, I think McCarthy is a great fit in Minnesota. He's super young, but has some decent experience, and is coming into a solid system and an offense with a lot of firepower around him. So in this video, I'm going to talk about JJ McCarthy, what the Vikings need to do to be successful in the near future with him behind center, and I also want to talk about the recent news with camps and everything that is going on right now. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 30k subscribers, and with your support, I believe we can get there super fast. Alright. So the more recent news with this team is of course Justin Jefferson finally signing his extension to stay in Minnesota for the long haul. Kevin O'Connell texted memes and gifs to Justin Jefferson upon hearing the news that the Vikings and Jefferson finally agreed to a new extension early last week. I was smiling ear to ear, O'Connell told Rich Eisen Monday in a guest appearance on Eisen's radio show. Love having him around, love having around our team and our building. He really is a building changer. He's a culture changer. And he happens to be the best person at his position in football and somebody who means the absolute world to me. Jefferson, along with second-year receiver Jordan Addison, will now form an elite 1-2 punch for whichever quarterback the Vikings name as the starter this season. After Kirk Cousins signed a 4-year, $180 million deal with Atlanta, the Vikings turned their focus to the future at the position. Minnesota brought in the former number 3 overall pick Sam Darnold as a bridge option, while the team prepares the 10th overall pick in this year's draft, JJ McCarthy, to be their quarterback of the future. The QB of the future tag isn't just one the media have placed on the former Michigan standout. It's one that O'Connell used himself the other day when talking about getting McCarthy ready to take over one day. During the lead up to the NFL draft, JJ McCarthy became convinced that the Vikings with Kevin O'Connell calling plays, 17-year NFL veteran Josh McCown overseeing quarterbacks, and a cast of Pro Bowl offensive players populating the huddle were the best spot for a rookie quarterback in 2024. After the Vikings drafted him 10th overall on Thursday night, McCarthy said the other 5 first-round quarterbacks all shared his opinion. First, the organization's outstanding, and then you have the players and pieces that are around it, and the coaches, McCarthy said in his introductory news conference. It was just a perfect fit for me. I talked with a lot of quarterbacks throughout this process, and it was the perfect fit for them too. Obviously, it's a huge honor, and I just hope to prove them right. If he is shown to be correct about the Vikings, and the Vikings about him, it might be because of a careful process the team hopes to use for the longevity of McCarthy's career. McCarthy, who turned 21 on January 20th, was the youngest quarterback taken in the first round, and he came from a Michigan offense that ran 60.8% of the time on its way to a national championship last season. So McCarthy only threw just 654 times in his final 2 years there, but that doesn't take away anything from his ability to be a great QB. Michigan just had such a dominant rushing attack with Blake Corum and that offensive line that they didn't have to use him as much to be successful, and the Vikings definitely don't plan to rush McCarthy's development. They will follow an individualized development plan they created for each of the quarterbacks they considered drafting, one that requires McCarthy to hit specific benchmarks and gives coach Kevin O'Connell full authority to make the timing decision. The approach is to avoid the worst case scenario, which is ruining JJ's career by putting him in too early. Looking at the depth chart going into this season around McCarthy, the Vikings now have Aaron Jones at running back, so they will have the ability to attack. I'm not saying Jones is still in his prime, but he's a reliable back that can also catch passes. And then they of course have Justin Jefferson at receiver, who may be one of, if not the best receiver in the league, and then they also have Jordan Addison and Brandon Powell behind him. Then at tight end, they have TJ Hawkinson, and they have CJ Ham at fullback, who is also a decent player. The Vikings also have an offensive line that was pretty good in 2023, but obviously that doesn't guarantee that will hold to be true in 24. Anyways, now I want to go into further depth on the receiving core that JJ will have to throw to, because obviously for a rookie QB, having weapons is super important. Last season, Justin Jefferson didn't have the best year and was injured, but when he was on the field, he put up 1,074 yards with 5 touchdowns and an average of nearly 16 yards per catch. So even coming off the injury, to me, he is still a top 3 receiver in the league. And then the guy behind him in Jordan Addison is another receiver with a very, very bright future after putting up 911 yards with 10 touchdowns last season off 70 receptions. So basically, the dynamic duo is there. All the Vikings need is to get a third guy, which I think they will be able to establish with all of their young talent. But ultimately, they just need to stay healthy because that has been Minnesota's curse over the last few years. Moving on to the backfield, this Vikings team has a very well-rounded group. As mentioned before, they went out and got Aaron Jones to be the main guy of the bunch, and I think that he will be great for a young QB like JJ. Jones has had some issues with injuries, but when he is on the field, he is still a big threat, especially since he is so good coming out the backfield and catching passes. Jones was able to rack up over 100 yards in his last 5 games with the Packers, including the playoffs, where he faced some really good defenses. The rest of the group is rounded out with guys like Ty Chandler and Myles Gaskin. I think both of these guys are going to be able to give Jones a good rest while also still being threats on the field. And maybe the best part about this group is who they will be running behind. The Vikings O-line was a top 10 unit last year, with the ascension of left tackle Darrisaw creating a great tackle duo with Brian O'Neill on the other side. Right guard Ed Ingram showed signs of growth last year as well, and the unit would end with the 3rd best pass block win rate in the league. Alright, changing topics, now I want to talk about camps. O'Connell said, "We got everything so far we had hoped to get out of JJ from the spring," confirming a lot of the things we thought about him through the pre-draft process. He's done all of those things and then some. He's been wearing us out at the facility, he's working his tail off, and I think he's going to be in a great spot to continue his growth and development on a really good timeline. O'Connell stated that the best thing for McCarthy this season is to get comfortable with the offense. While he has been heavily emphasizing patience, O'Connell did drop hints that the starting role isn't completely set heading into the team's training camp next month. On the other side of the ball, the Vikings are looking to have a rebound year, and most importantly, stay healthy. The Vikings hired Brian Flores as their defensive coordinator last year, and for a solid stretch of the season, they looked like a top 10 unit, but then injuries to multiple key guys brought them back down to the bottom 10. Names like Harrison Smith and Byron Murphy will be returning, while the team also went out and signed Andrew Van Ginkel, the ex-Miami Dolphin outside linebacker. With that said, Brian Flores will have to have this unit make the jump and play like they did when healthy last year. With the rookie QB coming in, it will be crucial for him to play with the lead or in close games, and I believe that this will fall in the hands of the defense. Will they be able to shut opponents down? Will they be able to create turnovers and short fields for their offense? We will have to wait and see. The good news is that the Vikings are in a generally young division. While the Packers and Lions look like they will be dominant powerhouses, it isn't always a guarantee for teams to simply run it back and make playoff runs. Teams who miss the Super Bowl by a game rarely are able to recover, even though dynasties like the Patriots and Chiefs have our minds thinking otherwise. NFL defenses will also have a complete year of film on Jordan Love now, and as for the Bears, well, they are in a similar situation to the Vikings as they just drafted their franchise QB. If JJ is able to put it together under the mind of Coach Kevin O'Connell and the defense can be in the top half of the league, the Vikings can be a team that soars under the radar this season and sneaks into the playoffs. Let me know what you guys think about the Vikings this upcoming season. Do you have faith in the national champion JJ McCarthy, or do you think he will struggle? Will the defense struggle like it has in the past few seasons, or will it finally see improvement? Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, make sure to drop a like and subscribe because your support truly does mean the world, and until next time, I will see you all later.